Yes, sir.
Yes. My name is Chris Roberts. I work at the Philanthropy Roundtable. So I had kind of two unrelated questions. I guess one of them will apply maybe more to Joanna and Clay. Actually, all three of you. How important is customer research? And then second, what resources would you recommend, either online or otherwise, that are helpful for young entrepreneurs interested in startups?
What industry are you thinking? In particular?
Kind of broadly. Kind of maybe more like small, lean, online type startups or digital type startups.
But I mean, Paul Graham's a good starting point. I mean, his blog is a great starting point for everything. Like he writes awesome essays.
He has a book too called Hackers and Painters that is also excellent.
But you can get that whole book on paulgraham.com/articles.
Yeah, I think you can get it as an ebook.
Well, you can just read it. It's all his essays. It's a compilation of his essays that are on there for free.
I think it's a little different. I've read both. I don't remember. Either way, anything he writes is great.
Yeah.
But I did read the book. I think he wrote it before he started doing a lot of the VC stuff. Because he actually built like the first shopping cart for websites and sold it to, he and his buddy sold it to Yahoo for like $200 million or something crazy. Had to work for Yahoo, as part of the agreement for like 2 years afterwards. And one of his great quotes is that working for a startup is like getting punched in the face repeatedly. But working for I'm going to forget the other half. But working for a big corporation is like being waterboarded. Woo! Yeah, so he's like, it's totally true. So he's seen both sides, and then, but he's a philosopher, he's an artist, and he's like one of the most famous angel investment guys in Silicon Valley, and he just has incredible prose, and he's very direct. His thing about determination, this is what he writes a lot about. They believe that they could actually finally pinpoint be able to meet guys in a pitch meeting and say they're going to succeed or they're not going to succeed. He thinks they can get it to a point of very high accuracy, and he thinks his theory at this point is that the deciding factor is determination. It's not talent, it's not ability, it's not where you went to school or who your parents are, it's not any of the things that might seem obvious. It's just the ability to be determined enough to not fail. So you could have mediocre intelligence, mediocre talent, mediocre ideas, and it could still be more successful than a lot of other people just because you're determined. And I think for me, I told myself 5 years, so the 5-year thing is a really big deal for me right now, that I would do anything possible. Like, I would not give up. I would do everything possible to make this company successful, and because it was that idea of like, if I'm just determined, it'll work, right? Because then there isn't a wall where you're just like, damn, I gotta go home, and just didn't work. Sorry. Like, if there is nothing that's insurmountable, you can surmount everything, right? It's a lot of mind games. But anyway, his stuff is just incredible about that. I felt like reading Fast Company and Inc. magazine were like getting an MBA, because all the case studies in them are tremendous.
Yeah, just read a lot. I mean, just read. Just look for stuff. I mean, it's a huge rabbit hole. If you just start reading,
don't read Tim Ferriss.
Then you have to stop yourself. Yeah, you can read Tim Ferriss, but just realize that there's balance and everything, and that's the thing that you'll read some of these articles and you'll be like, oh my god, this guy, he knows exactly what to do. Let's follow this. Or like Clay was saying. I mean, that first point is so true. It's like oh, I'm definitely following this or that. Like, it's wrong. You're wrong. You're always wrong. So you're just going to find out that whatever idea you had yesterday that you were so sure about is wrong. Yeah. And
we're just evolving so rapidly.
Yeah. There is no way to do it.
Yeah.
So just read.
And I kept thinking because I was so offended that most business stuff is so self-helpy. I'm like, why are all these books like freaking self-help books? And then I realized because so much is in your head. I mean, it's like if your mentality is off, your business is off. If you're tired, it's off. If you get the wrong idea, or you hired the wrong person and they kind of inject the wrong, juju into it. It's like, I am the most like science-based, like I'm an atheist. But I believe all that stuff now about energy and intention, because it's so true because when you create something, it's all in your head. And so what's in your head matters. So and then it was finally like a light bulb went on. I'm like, no wonder it's self-help, because you have to like self-help your way through this, because it's fucking brutal.
Yeah.
You can't game it. Like, you have to make it work, or it's not going to work at all.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the common thing. I would say, one, read things that are from people that are successful business people, not like,
Tim Ferriss, not Tim Ferriss.
Yeah, not like just, I mean, I'm sure journalists can do good stuff, but it's like you want somebody that's gone through it, I think. But the one common thing is just like, you don't quit and you just work hard. Everyone says it that's had success, I feel like.
Yeah.
One thing I haven't read, but I understand sort of the basic guidelines to, and I'm hoping to read, is Netflix's philosophy for management, because they're like total freedom. Like, they don't have set vacation for people. It's just sort of like, you take what you want, you work where you want, and it's like, but you better produce. And they, would rather like give people a lot of money to leave, and just keep like the really top talent. So I'm kind of interested in reading more about that, because it seems like a little bit of a, contrary to what the natural tendency is.